Hello students, let's start with a new chapter or new topic, that is introduction to interhalogen compounds. This topic is very interesting and very easy to understand. This topic carries around 5 to 10 marks in exam. So let's see what is meant by interhalogen compounds and what are their types, how to prepare them, what are their properties, what are their geometry and shape. So these are all things we are going to see in this lecture. So let's see one by one what is meant by interhalogen compounds. So these interhalogen compounds are compounds of different halogens. When they react, we get a binary covalent compounds, and these binary covalent compounds of these different halogens are called as interhalogen compounds. If you see a common halogens, these are fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. These are some common halogens. The last one is astatine and it is not that much studied. So most of the times you are going to encounter these four halogens, and when these four halogens react with each other in binary, we are not going to see a ternary because ternary is not possible. Ternary interhalogens are not been prepared so far. Only binary. So this fluorine will react with chlorine or bromine or iodine, etc. Or this chlorine will react with fluorine, or bromine react with fluorine, iodine will react with bromine, chlorine and fluorine. So these different permutations and combinations can lead to different interhalogen compounds. And thus for these interhalogen compounds we have a general formula. In general we can say XYN is the general formula of interhalogen compounds, wherein N is 1, 3, 5 or 7. So you will see such kind of general combination of these interhalogen compounds, wherein X is a halogen in which it has a greater electronegativity and a less electronegativity and greater atomic size or larger size, and Y having a greater or more electronegativity and a smaller size, and describes and shows the number of Y. Okay, so if you see interhalogen compounds are four types depending upon the number of Y's. So XY, where Y and X are same, XY3 where there are 3 Y's for 1 X, XY5 whereas X and Y has a relation of 1:5, and here you have this XY7 in which you have 7 Y's and 1 X. The example of XY is chlorine monofluoride or bromine monofluoride or bromine monochloride, etc. The ICl is very famous. This is also called as a Veitch reagent. This is called as a Veitch reagent. So these are some XY type of interhalogen compounds. XY3 Examples are chlorine trifluoride, bromine trifluoride, iodine trifluoride, iodine trichloride. These are used to make some higher interhalogen compounds, as well as these are used for the fluorination of different compounds. XY5, these are chlorine pentafluoride, bromine pentafluoride, and iodine pentafluoride. XY7, there is only one example, that is iodine heptafluoride. The iodine heptafluoride contains 7 fluorine atoms surrounding to iodine at a center. Okay, so these are 4 types of interhalogen compounds. Remember, there are many fluorine compounds, except these bromine chloride and iodine chloride and iodine chloride. Other fluorides and ICl3 all are fluorides. So except this ICl3 and these 3 compounds, all other interhalogen compounds contain a fluorine. All other interhalogen compounds contains a fluorine. This you have to remember. Now this is the same. The table shows interhalogen compounds of different halogens. The fluorine shows with the chlorine, it shows ClF, that is a Cl, chlorine monofluoride, chlorine trifluoride, chlorine pentafluoride. With bromine, it shows a bromine monofluoride, bromine trifluoride, bromine pentafluoride, etc., etc. So these are some interhalogen compounds. We will move forward because we have to see other things else as well. Okay, so interhalogen compounds are named as name of first halogen having lower electronegativity, followed by a name of a second halide having higher electronegativity, with a number of atoms, that is ending I and E of halogen, is replaced by De. So if it is a fluorine, then it will become a fluoride. If it is chlorine, it will become a chloride. If it is bromine, it will become a bromide, etc. So for example, ClF, that is chlorine monofluoride, ClF3 will be called as a, or will be named as a chlorine trifluoride, bromine pentafluoride, iodine heptafluoride. If you see the electronegativity order, you will see a fluorine is having a more electronegativity than the chlorine, and then bromine, than the iodine. So fluorine will act as always a surrounding atom, while chlorine, bromine, and iodine, these three will act as a central atom. The central atom is having a more size, atomic size, and less electronegativity than the surrounding atom. Now let's see what are the methods to synthesize these interhalogen compounds. So there are 2 general methods of synthesis. First is direct combination of 2 halogen molecules at a particular temperature conditions, that is when equal volume of chlorine and fluorine react together at 473 Kelvin, chlorine monofluoride is formed. That means simply you have to mix two halogen compounds and you have to heat them in a vessel. You will get monohalides or monofluorides, monochlorides, etc. Okay, and another method is when a halogen molecule react with lower interhalogen compound, it gives a higher interhalogen compounds. And every interhalogen compound has to heat at different or at a particular temperature. For example, molecular fluorine when react with iodine pentafluoride at 543 Kelvin, it gives a higher interhalogen compound, that is iodine heptafluoride. Iodine heptafluoride. That means when you heat this molecular fluorine with the iodine pentafluoride, you will get iodine heptafluoride. The temperature should be a 543 Kelvin. 543 Kelvin. So these are some methods. That means you can prepare direct combination of halogens or molecular halogens, or with a combination of interhalogen compound with molecular fluorine or chlorine. Okay, so these are two methods of preparation of interhalogen compounds. Understood? Now let's see the synthesis of chlorine monofluoride. Chlorine monofluoride is prepared by the direct combination of molecular chlorine and fluorine. The temperature should be around 473 Kelvin. In degrees Celsius, if you want to see, it will be around 200 degrees Celsius. That means direct molecular halogens are mixed together. In this case, if you are preparing a chlorine fluoride, you have to take a fluorine and chlorine. So direct combination of this molecular fluorine with a molecular chlorine, and you have to mix together, you will get twice 2 molecules of chlorine monofluoride. So this is the method of preparation of chlorine monofluoride. Okay, so what are the properties of this chlorine monofluoride? Chlorine monofluoride is a colorless gas. Most of the time it has been asked in exam that what is the color of chlorine monofluoride. So it is a colorless gas with a melting point around 170 Kelvin. 117 Kelvin. Okay, it is covalent molecule. Remember, these molecules are covalent molecules. Covalent. These are not ionic. These are not ionic. These are covalent molecules. So it is a covalent molecule and diamagnetic in nature. It is a diamagnetic in nature. Reactive than a normal halogen. It is more reactive than the normal halogen. Why it is more reactive? Because it is a polar in nature. It is polar in nature. That's why it is a more reactive than the normal halogen. Now, what is normal halogen? For example, in this case, this fluorine and this chlorine, these are normal halogens. These are normal halogens. And this is not a normal halogen. This is an interhalogen compound. So normal halogen and this is an interhalogen compound. The interhalogen compounds will be more reactive than this normal halogens like a fluorine and chlorine. So this is a less reactive. This is a less reactive than interhalogen compounds. Okay, so this was a simple preparation of chlorine monofluoride. In next slide we will see synthesis of iodine monochloride. So in this slide we have seen, or we can see, how to prepare iodine monochloride. So iodine monochloride is formed by passing chlorine gas over solid iodine at a temperature 273 Kelvin. At a temperature 273 Kelvin, that means at a 0 degree Celsius. At a 0 degree Celsius. So for example, you have iodine. Iodine is a solid in nature at room temperature. So you have to pass chlorine gas. For example, if this is a reaction vessel, and from this you are going to inlet the chlorine gas, and from this place you are going to take it out, Cl2, and here you have this ignots or small pellets or small bubbles of this iodine or tincture iodine, we can say. So this is the iodine, solid iodine. The chlorine gas is passed over this solid iodine at 0 degree Celsius or 273 Kelvin. That means this you have to keep in ice bath. So you have to keep this system in the ice bath. The reaction takes place at 273 Kelvin, and this iodine is reacted with chlorine. We get 2 molecules of iodine monochloride. So 1 mole of iodine is reacted with 1 mole of chlorine. We get 2 moles of iodine monochloride. Now let's see the properties of this iodine monochloride. Iodine monochloride is a red-brown chemical. Iodine monochloride is a red-brown chemical, melt near room temperature. It melts near room temperature. That means its melting point is about at a room temperature. It is below room temperature. That's why it melts at a near room temperature. Iodine monochloride is highly polar molecule due to the difference in electronegativity. Why it is a polar? Because iodine and chlorine has a difference in electronegativity, and because of this difference it shows a polarity. That means it is more polar, and that's why it will be a more soluble in polar solvents. In organic synthesis or estimation of iodine number of oils, this acts as a source of a iodine plus. This iodine monochloride acts as a source of iodine plus, which is used in the finding out or estimation of iodine number of different oils. So when we want to find out iodine number of oils, we use ICl as a reagent. This is also called as a Weiss reagent. This is also called as a Weiss reagent. This reagent is used to find out the iodine number of oils. Okay. Now let's see another interhalogen compound, that is a bromine trifluoride. A bromine trifluoride is produced by the mixing of bromine vapor, and fluorine in a stream of nitrogen gas at 293 Kelvin. In a stream of nitrogen gas at a 293 Kelvin. Now, why we use a nitrogen stream? Because it is a inert gas. Nitrogen is a inert gas. So to avoid any contamination or any attack of molecular oxygen from the air, we use a nitrogen gas. So we mix this nitrogen with a fluorine gas, and this mixture of fluorine and nitrogen is mixed with a bromine vapor at 293 Kelvin. We get a bromine trifluoride. That means here we have to use a nitrogen gas, and it is going to be mixed with this fluorine. So bromine is actually liquid at room temperature. We are going to heat it so that we will get vapors of bromine, and we are going to mix this vapors of bromine with the stream of fluorine with a nitrogen gas. When we do that, we get 2 molecules of bromine trifluoride. We get a two molecules of bromine trifluoride. Now, what are the properties and uses of this bromine trifluoride? Bromine trifluoride is a straw-colored liquid. It is a straw-colored liquid. What is straw color? Straw color, if I have the color, I will show. This is a straw color. So this is a yellow brown color. So this is a straw color. So this is this bromine trifluoride is a straw colored liquid with a pungent odor. With a pungent odor. Its odor is a very pungent, right? It is a powerful fluorinating agent. It is a powerful fluorinating agent. Powerful fluorinating agent. It is used to produce uranium hexafluoride. It is used to produce uranium hexafluoride. Now, why to prepare uranium hexafluoride? Because it is used in the processing and reprocessing of a nuclear fuel. Whatever nuclear fuel is there, uranium is used as a nuclear fuel. Now this uranium is used in fluorides, or fluorine or the uranium which is used can be extracted by using a fluorine. So that means we are going to convert uranium into uranium hexafluoride. This compound is then extracted by using a particular solvent. So for that we use this bromine trifluoride. Bromine trifluoride can fluorinate uranium into a uranium hexafluoride. Okay, so this was all about this bromine trifluoride. In next slide we will see a bromine pentafluoride, or we will see chlorine trifluoride. Okay, so chlorine trifluoride is simply prepared by mixing molecular chlorine and molecular fluorine. Simply you have to mix a molecular chlorine and molecular fluorine at 473 to 573 Kelvin in a copper vessel. So particularly simple, you have to take a vessel, reaction vessel. So for example, you have this nut bolts and you have this reaction vessel, and here you have these inlets, Here you have different inlets. So you might have seen a reaction vessels. Here you have this different inlets. Okay, so you have to mix this chlorine and fluorine. So in a 1:3 ratio. So 1 chlorine and 3 fluorine, these are mixed and passed over this copper catalyst. So in this copper vessel, so this vessel is made up of copper. So in this vessel, when it is mixed, and we get ClF3, that is a chlorine trifluoride. We get a chlorine trifluoride. We are not going to use copper as a catalyst, but we are going to use a copper vessel. This copper vessel is used to prepare this chlorine trifluoride. In this copper vessel, we are going to mix this chlorine and fluorine in 1:3 ratio, and when it is mixed together in this copper vessel, we get 2 molecules of this chlorine trifluoride. Now let's see what are the properties of this chlorine trifluoride. The chlorine trifluoride is a colorless gas. Chlorine trifluoride is a colorless gas which condenses to give pale green liquid. That means when it is in gaseous stage, it is a colorless gas. When it is condensed, it condenses to give pale green liquid. Okay, pale green liquid. Okay, the background of this slide is a pale green liquid. So the liquid will have the same color. Okay, so pale green or emerald green color. Okay, it is hydrolyzed by water to give a chlorine oxyfluoride. This chlorine oxyfluoride is nothing but oxyacid of chlorine. Oxyacid. So these oxyacids can be prepared by simply hydrolysis of this chlorine trifluoride with the water. When we hydrolyze it with the water, this chlorine F3 converts into a chlorine oxyfluoride. When chlorine trifluoride is reacted with molecular fluorine, it gives higher interhalogen compound, that is a chlorine pentafluoride. That means again the same, when we mix this ClF3, that is a chlorine trifluoride, with this molecular fluorine, it gets converted into a higher interhalogen compounds, that is a chlorine pentafluoride. Okay, so this is another method to prepare this chlorine pentafluoride by using a chlorine trifluoride. So you have to remember this also in this. So this is a property of chlorine trifluoride, but this is also one of the method of preparation of chlorine pentafluoride. Okay, shape of chlorine trifluoride is bent T-type due to the 2 lone pairs of electrons. So if you want to see a shape of this chlorine trifluoride, it is a T-type or bent T-type. It is a bent T-type. These all shapes and all those things we are going to see in upcoming slides. How to predict the geometry, how to predict the shape of molecule, that we are going to see in next slides. Okay, so the shape of this chlorine trifluoride, remember, is a bent T-type. It is a bent T-type. Now let's see synthesis of bromine pentafluoride. Synthesis of bromine pentafluoride. The bromine pentafluoride is prepared by the direct reaction of molecular bromine with excess of fluorine at temperature of 423 Kelvin. So at 423 Kelvin, we just mix this bromine with excess of molecular fluorine. The bromine is mixed with excess of molecular fluorine. It gets converted into higher interhalogen compounds, that is a bromine pentafluoride. Okay, if you are mixing this bromine with 3 fluorine or 1:3 fashion, then you will get a bromine trifluoride. Here we are going to mix fluorine in excess amount so that the bromine will react or will accommodate a maximum fluorine atoms into its valence shell. So bromine is reacted with the excess of fluorine, we are getting bromine pentafluoride. It will not go for the bromine heptafluoride because it is not possible to accommodate 7 fluorine by bromine. So it is not possible to get a bromine heptafluoride. So the reaction will only give you a bromine pentafluoride. Bromine pentafluoride is a pale yellow liquid. It is a pale yellow liquid. Right? It is an extremely effective fluorinating reagent. Bromine pentafluoride is used for the fluorinating different organic compounds, and it is an extremely effective for the fluorination of different compounds. It is also used to convert most of the uranium compounds to the hexafluorides at room temperature. It is also used to convert most of the uranium compounds, for example U2O3 or UO3, UO5, right? So these are some uranium compounds found in uranium mines. So these uranium compounds can be converted into uranium pentafluorides or uranium hexafluorides by using bromine pentafluoride. Okay, now let's move towards the next slide. We will talk about iodine pentafluoride. Okay, now iodine pentafluoride is prepared by direct combination of iodine with the excess of molecular fluorine. Simple. Iodine, we have this iodine, we have to mix with this iodine. Iodine is a solid. We have to pass this molecular fluorine. Excess of molecular fluorine should be passed over this solid iodine. We will get iodine pentafluoride. Okay, this is very simple reaction. All interhalogen compounds reactions are very simple to understand, so you don't have to worry about. Just remember the whatever amount of fluorine is there, you are going to take that much fluorine. If you want to make I5, take 5 times fluorine and mix it with the iodine. Okay, so you will get a whatever expected or whatever interhalogen compound that you want. Okay, iodine pentafluoride, let's see the properties. Iodine pentafluoride is a colorless liquid with a melting point 283 Kelvin. It is good conductor of electricity. The most important property of this iodine pentafluoride is It is a good conductor of electricity. It is a good conductor of electricity. Now this is a liquid, and also it is a good conductor of electricity. So it can be used wherever there is a need of liquid conductor. So it can act as a liquid conductor, because it is a good conductor of electricity. It is hydrolyzed by water to give halogen acids. Which halogen acids? Oxyacids. Which halogen acids? Oxyacids. Generally, this interhalogen compounds on hydrolysis with water gives the oxyacids. It is hydrolyzed to give halogen acids and oxyacids of larger halogen atom. Oxyacids of larger halogen atom. For example, if you hydrolyze the iodine pentafluoride, you will get oxyacids of iodine. So iodine oxyfluoride, iodine oxybromide, iodine oxychloride. So depending upon which interhalogen compound you are hydrolyzing, it will give that oxyacids of iodine. Okay, because you are using this iodine. Iodine is a larger halogen, that's why it will be showing this oxyacid of that particular larger halogen. Iodine pentafluoride has a square pyramidal shape. With one lone pair of electron. So this iodine pentafluoride shows a square pyramidal shape. These all shapes we are going to see in next slides. Now, last interhalogen compound. We have seen a lot of interhalogen compounds now. This is the last interhalogen compound, that is iodine heptafluoride. Iodine heptafluoride is synthesized by passing mixture of iodine pentafluoride vapors over and a fluorine through a platinum tube at 573 Kelvin. So iodine pentafluoride will be prepared by simply passing a mixture of iodine pentafluoride. So iodine pentafluoride will be passed, these vapors of this iodine pentafluoride will be passed or will be mixed with a molecular fluorine at 573 Kelvin, and we will get this final iodine heptafluoride. We will get this iodine heptafluoride. Okay, so this iodine pentafluoride is made into the vapors. So we have to just heat it, and then it is mixed with a fluorine, that is a molecular fluorine, through a platinum tube. It has to be mixed through a platinum tube. Platinum tube is used because it is an inert, and this iodine heptafluoride is more reactive. Therefore, we have to use this platinum tube. Thus, this iodine pentafluoride should be mixed with the fluorine and pass through this platinum tube, and we will heat it at 573 Kelvin. That means around 300 degrees Celsius. Around 300 degrees Celsius, we will get simply one molecule of iodine pentafluoride. Iodine pentafluoride is a colorless gas. What is the property? It is a colorless gas. That means most of the interhalogen compounds are colorless gases. There are some gases on condensation gives some pale green colored liquid or pale yellow color liquid. But this iodine heptafluoride is also a colorless gas. It is used as a strong oxidizing agent. It is a very strong oxidizing agent. It is a very strong oxidizing agent. It is used to prepare a periodic acids. It is used to prepare a periodic acid. It is used to prepare periodic acid. Okay. Now let's move to next slide. Applications of interhalogen compounds. Applications of interhalogen compounds. These interhalogen compounds are used as a non-aqueous solvents in many chemical reactions. They are used as a non-aqueous solvents in many chemical reactions. Non-aqueous means wherever there is a possibility of reaction of solvent, that is aqueous solvents, we do not use aqueous solvent. For that we need a solvent which do not contain any water. So non-aqueous means non-water. Non-aqueous means non-water, without water, no water. So non-aqueous solvents are used in many chemical reactions, and these interhalogen compounds are used as a non-aqueous solvents. They are used as a catalyst in chemical reaction. They are used as a catalyst in a chemical reactions. Interhalogen compounds are used as fluorinating agents in several chemical reactions. In previous slides we have already seen various properties, and these properties can be used, and thus these are some applications of this interhalogen compounds. So these can be used for the fluorination of different organic compound, different inorganic compounds, etc. Because we have seen uranium compounds can be easily converted into uranium fluorides by using different interhalogen compounds of fluorine. Okay. Now next we are going to see what is the structure and bonding in interhalogen compound. We are going to see structure and bonding in interhalogen compound. So these structure and bonding we will see in next video. So we will stop here. In next lecture or next video we will study the structure and bonding in interhalogen compounds. So for to then good luck, have a nice days, and please study hard. You have to study in order to get a good marks in exams. So please if you want more lectures, subscribe this channel. This channel will be coming with new videos every day or every 2 days, alternate days. We will put some videos so that you will understand more and more about chemistry. So we will stop here. Have a nice day.